Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. This week's portion is known as Shlach, or in some circles as Shlach Lecha. And we are in volume 18 in our edition of the Zohar at paragraph 30. Before we begin, let's invite in the Kabbalistic lineage for assistance in connecting to the wisdom of these verses of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rav Shlag, Rav Brandwein, the Riyah Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tafon, Rav Aram Mazulai, Rav Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Rav Kolona Mishapir Piasetzna, Bashem Tov, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai and all the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, One Soul with Yosef Tzadik and Shrem. Also, let's have a consciousness of sending energy of healing to those people we know who need healing. Chana Bat Rivka. Also, energy of assistance to those souls that are in the process of elevating. Let's have them in mind also. Let's also have the connected energy of Ahavat Chinam, spreading unconditional love throughout the world, treating everyone with human decency. The energy of protection from evil eye and evil speech, removing chaos from our world, and negativity from our world. Okay, verse 30. Vayishlach otam Moshe v'gomer, kulam anashim, kulhu zakain havo v'reishei di Yisrael havo, aval inun dibru legarmayhu eta bisha amay natle etada, ela amru I ye alun Yisrael la'ara, nir avar nitavar anan milhemeve reshin, v'imene Moshe reshin acharanim. Da'anan zachenam b'madbara lemheve reshin, aval be'ara la niske, be'adinatle eta bisha legarmayu, mitu inun v'chol inun denatlan milahu. Okay, so before Maria reads the English verse, a little bit of context. This is the week that Moses sent the spies in to spy out the land. They left Egypt, they went to Mount Sinai, they received the revelation event took place there. They received the Torah, and now they're going into Israel, which is their destiny. This wasn't about a land acquisition. This wasn't about a conquest of the land, although there was a conquest of the land. That's just what takes place on the 1% level. What this is about is the children of Israel returning to the land of Israel, which was the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and which in the Torah it says is their inheritance. Is Torah just like a last will and testament? Like this is what you're going to inherit? No, it's a total 1% read on things. It's about channeling the energy of the Garden of Eden, of the flawless universe, into this physical realm. And Israel, Jerusalem, and the Temple Mount is the spiritual epicenter of the world. So it's where it's easiest to bring that energy into the world. We live in a fragmented world. The energy isn't equal in all places. I mean, you can travel to certain places. You go to the Grand Canyon, it's very cool there too. There's a lot of amazing energy there. But it's not the Holy of Holies in Jerusalem in the land of Israel. The reason why there's so much conflict over that land is because how valuable it is, not to a real estate developer, but to the future of mankind. And you're like, well, people don't know that. And like, I know they don't know that, but that doesn't change it. We know it. And that's part of what we're supposed to channel for the world. This understanding that we're here to change the world. We're here to complete the work that the angels were working on up until Mount Sinai when we took over in finishing creation. We're here to create literally heaven on earth, to manifest immortality. So Moses and the children of Israel, they're on the precipice of reaching that goal, it would appear. That's not exactly what happens. Maria?
Okay.
Thank you.
And Moses sent them, all those men.
Okay. So go ahead, keep going. Just finish that last sentence.
Meaning that all were righteous and chiefs of Israel.
So in the previous Zohar, which I strongly encourage you to read, which is verse 8, and it's called "The Moon Shines Only When the Sun Sets," we go into this whole idea of why Moses didn't enter the land. And I think it's important context to understand this section, which is, why doesn't Moses enter the land? He led us out of Egypt. He's our guy. He is the intermediary between the children of Israel and the Creator. How does he not complete the mission? Because, as that Zohar points out, he's the sun, and we live on the moon. And the moon can't shine when the sun is out, meaning Moses' light is so intense and ever present that you can't see the moon. You can't see the work we need to do, and we needed to continue to do work. We weren't ready. And that's why Moses doesn't enter the land. And so in that paragraph 8 and the paragraphs that follow, the Creator says, here's your proof. Send in the spies, and then you'll see where the children of Israel are. Moses knew this, but he was still holding out hope that we could get to where we needed to be so we can merit Moses coming into the land with us. We don't get there. But what this represents for us is our work. And because we still don't have the temple standing in Israel. We still don't have the Messiah consciousness. We still don't have the manifestation of the energy of immortality. We don't have that. That's what we're working on. We're working on raising ourselves and thereby raising all of mankind to get to that point. So Moses is holding out hope. There's still time. He's still in the physical realm. There's still a chance, and he's arguing with the Creator about, no, I should be able to go in. Because he wants to complete his mission, which is take the children of Israel out of Egypt from the depths of 49 levels of negativity, bring them out, bring them through the desert, which is like an amazing space to kind of see your own limitations so you can work on them, take them to Mount Sinai, and then take them to Israel. Well, that's the mission. But he doesn't get to complete the mission. I mean, he kind of does, but not the way he wanted it. So he sends in the spies to spy out the land. And these weren't just like any ordinary citizens. This was creme de la creme. These were, as the Zohar just pointed out, the righteous, all the righteous, and the chiefs of Israel, the chiefs of each of the 12 tribes. That's who he sent in. So there's a lot riding on this. How are they going to show up? What are they going to see? Will they indicate that the children of Israel are at a high enough level to go into the land with Moses? Or will they fall short? They fall short. And we stay in the desert for another 40 years. But let's continue to read. Arguably, we're still there at some level.
However, they took bad counsel for themselves. Why did they take this counsel? It was because they thought...
Okay, so the consciousness was not in the right place. What does it mean to take bad counsel? They were looking at the cup as half empty, not half full, at some level. They didn't have the right mindset. What was their mindset? Let's see.
If Israel entered the land, we would be removed as chiefs, and Moses would appoint other chiefs.
Oh, they're going to lose their jobs. I mean, if you don't think this is still going on right now everywhere, it is. They're going to lose their jobs. Well, what does that mean? It means this is like one of the worst examples of desire to receive the self in the history of mankind. These are the leaders. It wasn't about them. Leadership is not about you. Leadership is about your role in helping the world along, in helping a project along, in helping a team along, of marshaling your resources, of making sure everybody is assigned to do the thing that they are best able to do, of role players. And the leader is one of the role players to make he's conducting the orchestra. He loses his job. He should lose his job. If there's someone better to do it, someone better should do it. That's leadership. It's like you have to tell people on your team, it's not about you. It's about the initiative. It's about the community. It's about the school. It's about the charity. It's not about your agenda. You're here as a representative of the community that you're serving. They didn't get that. They didn't get that memo. So it was a major, major falling. That is the energy of this week. It's a major falling. It's a very negative situation. And we're still dealing with that energy. But we're looking at it differently because we, on this path, understand the distinction between the desire to receive for the self and using the desire to receive for the sake of sharing. And that's what they were unable to do. And so for us, because we're able to do this, we have the opportunity to elevate ourselves and strengthen our own mindset and our own perspective of using our desire to receive for the sake of everyone, for the sake of sharing. Go ahead.
Since we deserve to be chiefs only in the desert, in the land, we would not deserve to be chiefs.
So they're saying, like, their unique skill set only worked in the desert. It wouldn't have worked in the land. Now, what do we mean by that? We mean that they're going through a process of elevation. The children of Israel are elevating, leaving the desert. It's a barren layer, and going into the land, which is the land of milk and honey, where there's all these resources. So it's like, you have to earn that. And this is like a metaphor for us in our lives, in the places where we feel lack. If we want to merit fulfillment, we have to rise above our desire to receive for the self. It's like, as some of our teachers say, start your day like you don't have any lack. You have what you need. It may not be in your pocket, but it's there. It's there, it's available. I'm fulfilled. That's the way I want to approach life. And so I'm showing up at every stop along the way as fulfilled, as opposed to showing up like being needy. We don't want to show up being needy, even though we do experience lack. That's a process that we're in. It's not a real lack. Well, it feels like it. I know. It does feel like it. That is the reality of the illusion. Because that fulfillment is there. If you know what you're lacking, it must be somewhere. And you must have had it at some point, because otherwise you wouldn't know what it feels like to experience that lack. So it's there. It's kind of like a timing issue. I can see the slice of pizza sitting behind the counter. I just can't taste it. And I'm hungry. Okay, keep going.
Due to having taken back counsel for themselves, they died, as did all those who accepted their counsel.
Well, it's the death penalty, basically. That's the way it reads. So, by the way, they die in multiple generations. Like, this is not just that event. This repeats. It's also the story of the 10 martyrs, which many connect to on the 9th day of Leo, Tisha B'Av. Like, it's this destruction of the temple. There's all these things that happen. This happened on the 9th of Av, as I recall. They delivered their negative report. It's one of the negative things that happened on that most negative day of the year. But really, yes, they die, and all those who took their counsel died. But really what the Zohar is telling us is they were not able to manifest immortality. That was the goal of going into Israel, to manifest the Garden of Eden, to manifest the flawless universe, to manifest Bila Mavla Netzach, the death of death. Because we're all dying. I mean, we're all like, our souls, we have a journey, we move on. Isn't that all that happened? That generation of Israelites dies in the desert. They don't get the opportunity to go into Israel at all. It's their children that end up going in. So that's also what, and in the literal narrative, that's what happens. But ultimately, it's about not being able to manifest immortality. Yes, Peter.
I'd also like to offer up on when they took bad counsel for themselves, they died. I really think that's also right. It is about all of us, right? It's when we don't make the right choices. It's right when we connect to the wrong things, we're dying inside. And I see Maria shaking her head, right? So it's not, as you always point out, it's not just the story. It's relevant to us, and we have to think about where that plays out in our lives.
Yeah, and by the way,
Maria and I are clearly connected on that.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's not just, physical death. It's the end of a relationship. It could be the end of a business relationship. It could be the end of the personal relationship. It could just be a change in that relationship where it's just not growing. It's actually now over. And, you look at the people in your life you're no longer connected to. Part of the reason why that is not because you took bad counsel, but they took bad counsel. So super powerful. There's consequences to your consciousness. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience. There's relations I don't have because of the counsel they took.
Yeah. It's a daily process. We go through this every day.
Absolutely.
Right? And
absolutely.
We see it.
Like, sometimes when you haven't taken bad counsel, it's a blessing that those that did are no longer in your life. I don't need that negative influence in my life. It's, the light actually helping us move on and move onward and upward, move forward. And because our role is to channel more light for the world, not to take bad counsel and spread negativity in the world.
I think we have to also be careful in terms of you're saying, we're saying they took bad counsel. We have to wait till it plays out. We just trust in the light and make sure that that's where we're getting our direction from, because that may not be the end dynamic of that situation. So know. I think we
got to be open to, absolutely, very point. We need to be open
boundaries
to all. I mean, I do what I do, and I let go of the outcome, and we see what happens. Notwithstanding, boundaries are important in this context also. Okay, verse 31. Elishmot anashim asher shalach Moshe v'gomer. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Moshe istakal v'yadad la yitzlechun be'archaihu. Kedein tzalei alei di Yeshua. Kedein kalev hava b'dochaka. Amar ma abir ha Yoshua azil b'siyata ila'ad Moshe de shadar be'nihiru de sihara vu anhir alei. Bitzlote begin the ihu shimsha ma'abad kalev ishtamit minayu ve'ate lagabe kavraya de abahan betzalei taman slote. There's such powerful energy in this section. Let's see if we can unpack it again, Maria.
There are names of the men whom Moses sent.
Yes, these are the names. I mean, they're listed. Each one a prince of a chief of a specific tribe.
Rabbi Yitzchak said, Moses observed and was aware of that day, that is, these spies would not succeed in their mission. And he then prayed about Joshua.
So Moses is sending the spies, but he's Moses. He sees they're going to fail. Uh-oh. Why didn't he do something about it? Listen, this is the book is called The Blessing of the Skinned Knee. I never read it, but I'm familiar with it. And the blessing of the skinned knee is in a parent-child relationship, it's like your child will only learn how to walk from falling. And that's what's going on here. It's like there are people in your life you'd like to help, but you can't. They need life is experiential. If you don't experience the fall, you're not going to learn how to pick yourself up and move forward and avoid the fall the next time around. We have to go through that. And we're the better for it. So Moses knows what he can't do. What he's afraid about is Joshua, his hand-picked successor. Moses is going to leave and Joshua is going to take over in leadership. And so he's worried about Joshua. There's also another very positive soul. Go ahead.
Caleb was then in distress.
Yeah, Caleb, the other guy. So
He said-
there were 12 spies. 10 of them accepted Van Council. 2 of them did not. Very elevated souls. Yeshua ben Nun, Joshua, who becomes the first of all the prophets following Moses, and Caleb ben Yefuneh, Caleb. These are among the most elevated souls to ever walk the planet. They're not taking bad counsel. Who do you want to be with? The 10 or the 2? We want to be with the 2. And so for us, this is an opportunity to connect to all the positive, sharing people that are in our life, that are in our world. That's who we want to be with. That's who we want to spend time with. But Moses sees they're actually about to hang out with a bad crowd. So he's going to help them. How does he help them?
He said, "What shall I do, since Joshua goes forth with the utmost help of Moses, who inspired in him the illumination of the moon, which is Malchut?"
Okay, well, Caleb is a little in distress. Why? Because he sees Joshua's got some extra energy for this, from Moses. Joshua becomes the moon to Moses' sun. He's not as bright as the sun. He's the moon. It's reflective light, but still very elevated. He's reflecting the light for the people of Israel. He's right sized for where the people of Israel are, because Moses isn't going in, because they can't handle that much light. But he sees this, Caleb sees this, is like, I'm noticing that Joshua has some extra level of protection. What about me? What am I going to do? Yeah.
He shone upon him with his light, in his power, in his prayer, since he is the aspect of the sun, which is Zerampin.
So right now we are in our world, in our lives, with our challenges, with the darkness that we have to deal with. We are benefiting from this light of Zerampin, Moses, this light of Zerampin that gets shined on Malchut, Joshua. This is us in the world of Malchut, getting light shined upon us. Okay, keep going.
So what did Caleb do? He dropped back from the spice and came to the burial place of the patriarchs and prayed his prayers there.
Unbelievable. What does he do?
That's what we all do every day, don't we?
Well, we do every time we say the standing, well, in our prayers, specifically in the standing prayers, the first paragraph, we're connecting the energy of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. At the Marat Machpelah, at the Machpelah, where they're buried. Caleb's like, I need some extra energy too. I'm going to the source, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he goes to visit the cave, to connect with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. That's where he goes. We go there too. We do energy trips in Israel. We go to Israel. It's like one of the places to go. It's an incredibly powerful place. And if I haven't pointed this out before, it's important to understand, when you go there, in the town is Hebron, when you go there, and there's a big building built on top of where they're actually buried, and so you're really above them, and it's a super, super powerful place. But when you go there, even before you walk in, there's some benches you can sit down on, and you're sitting in the shade of olive trees. And once on a trip my guide, was a very elevated guy. He said, You see these olives on these trees? These are the same trees that stood when Abraham was there, and Isaac was there, and Jacob was there, and Caleb was there. These are the same trees. Not the same trees. Trees can't be at least less cat for 1,000 years. No. The olives from those trees grow more olive trees. It's like a continuum of olive trees. That energy is a continuum. And that's where we want our consciousness to be. That's where Caleb's consciousness is. That's where Joshua's consciousness is. That's the tree of life. It's a continuum. It's not the death of the desire to receive the self. It's not eating the apple of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's connecting to the tree of life. That is immortality, that continuum. It's removing time, space, and motion from this realm. It's connecting to that higher realm.
So as we continue falling in doubts, in lacks, we just go back to the tree of life, connected to that. And then tomorrow we're gonna, 5 minutes later, we're gonna fall again. We're gonna be tested again, and we just have to go back to it and connect to that piece of tree and recharge again all over again.
That's what we know as tshuva. It's returning to the hay. It's returning to that higher consciousness. The spies had the opportunity to do that, but that's not what they did. That's not the energy we want. That's the energy of this week, though. And so for us, that energy gives us the ability to grow in our consciousness, to rise above that, and to continue to returning to the hay, continue to returning to that tree of life consciousness. I see your hands up, Suzanne.
Yeah, I just want to thank you and Maria. That was great. I kind of look at it as like the washing machine, right? Like you clear, like something comes up, it's negative. You clear it, or you do your best, you are in some kind of transition. And then you get to a clearing, and then another thing pops up. And to me, it's just like a constant washing cycle. It's like jumping in the water and being wet. Okay, like you just next thing, next, right? Like that's kind of what I'm feeling.
It is a
So
washing. It is definitely a washing cycle. All that cycle going, all on the way to getting more spiritually elevated.
Yeah, like up the
metaphor
ladder,
washing
right?
clean. Like we're moving
Yeah.
those blockages. We're falling along the way. We're rising and falling. That's it. That's the process. But all along, elevating.
Yeah. Amazing.
But we have to have that certainty too, that we're going through the process and believing that process, right?
Yeah.
Other people go through that and then they lose the faith, and they're just like, oh, forget it. I don't see anything, and they fall off.
They take life delivers hard
Right.
hits. It's going to knock you down. And sometimes when you're down and you're in that pain, it's a little easier to have a drink, a smoke, or go shopping.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really remove the pain. That only soothes it. You have to acknowledge it and process it and work through it to get past it. And that's hard. That requires work.
And believe you're going to pass through.
Yes, and have the certainty that you actually are moving in the right direction.
Right.
As painful as it is. Okay, keep going.
I think I finished it.
Oh, good, great. 32, I have to keep going. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Orach achara natil, ve'akim shvilin, umata al kivrei de'avahan, v'istakal begarmei de'hakativ, v'sham achiman sheshai v'talmai yelidei ha'anak. אבל מאן דאיהו בדוחקה לא יסתכל מידי, כך כלב, בגין דהבה בדוחקה לא יסתכל מידי, והתלצלה עד קברי אברהם, להשתזבה מאיתה דה.
Rabbi Yehuda said, Caleb went in a different way and took winding paths, meaning that he followed twisted paths.
Okay, so this is our journey. It's not direct. It's not point A to point B. It's a bunch of, we have to navigate, and we want to see the steps we need to take. And so in the physical world, you want it to be a very linear journey. But in a spiritual realm, it's not. It's not that clear where our next step is going to take us. And so sometimes we end up in a place and we're like, how did I get here? This doesn't look good. No. This was an important step on the journey. My last experience was a necessary step to get me towards my next experience. And again, it's like, that's an important consciousness. And this is what we're getting here, is we're getting the perspective that even though it looks twisted, it isn't. It is purposeful. And so if it's purposeful, the journey is meaningful. And that gives us a lot of, again, positive perspective on the journey that we're all on our own journeys. We're all doing something different. And Caleb here did something different. He was on a different journey. He did take a different path. And it's important. And so for us, it's a reminder that we're on this path, and this path is not aligned with the rest of the world. Let's just face it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Go ahead.
He reached the burial plots of the patriarchs and endangered himself, as it is written, where the Amon, Shekai, and Talmai, the children of Anak, were.
Okay, so he took a different path, but it's like he went through a bad neighborhood. He went to a very challenging neighborhood. Like they're supposed to go in and spy out the land, and he's spying out. He went to the wrong neighborhood. Well, he went to the right neighborhood, but he had to navigate a lot of negativity on the way there. You know, to a certain degree, we're getting. You know, it's like it sounds like this was a bad neighborhood with like some tough tribes or gangs that were there. But to a certain degree, it's also indicative, like he was, or we are, confronted with doubt. It's like the other side is like, do you know where you are? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know the danger you're exposing yourself to? This can't be the way to go. This can't be right for you. You could go back now. It's okay. You can go. You made the effort. A for effort. That's all. That's all that matters. You made the effort. You're good. Look how far you came. What voice is that? Satan. It's the voice of the opponent. It's negativity. It's what we need to navigate right now at the present time in our lives. So here we're getting the energy of the ability to see past that, see the opponent for who the opponent is, and to continue on our journeys, just like Caleb did. Go ahead.
So wait, so he went that path, but did he hear that? He heard that voice, that it was the Satan, that it was the negativity? He heard it?
Left to try. He went off, he like went off the different way. So was he questioning? He's only human. I mean, listen, he had sufficient certainty to navigate that. That's the point. But you're hearing those voices. We hear those voices. He definitely heard those voices. He heard voices.
Because sometimes we just pick a different path and we don't realize.
Sometimes we need to.
Okay. Just want to make sure it's like, okay.
Yes.
All right. However, just as someone in distress does not pay attention, see, there was there. Anything. So too, it was with Caleb, see, because he felt distress.
He felt the energy. Well, he felt the energy. We do too. So like, let's observe. This is an opportunity to kind of be the observer of what we're feeling. We need to be present to what we're feeling. It's telling us something. Go ahead.
He was not observant and came to pour his prayers upon the burial plots of the patriarchs in order to be saved from the counsel of the spies.
He kept his eye on the prize. He felt it. He felt the stress, but he didn't like look around him to get distracted by it. He knew where he was going. He was going to see the patriarchs and matriarchs. That's where he was going. It's like sometimes you know the right thing to do, but I mean, you see the journey you have to take. I'm keeping my eye on the destination, not on the distractions that are there along the way. Yeah, I feel what's going on, but I know, I mean, we've had this on. I know for certainty that's where I need to be. So I'm not observant. I block out the distractions. That's what Caleb did. And this is giving us the same energy of keeping our eyes on the destination and not getting distracted by what is on the journey along the way. 33. V'yikra Moshe leYoshua ben Nun Yoshua. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar, V'chi Hoshea kara. V'hakativ v'yomer Moshe el Yoshua. Yoshua ben Nun na'ar. V'yachalosh Yoshua. Ela Amar le Moshe, Ya Yoshiacha minayhu.
And Moses called Joshua, son of Nun, Joshua.
Okay, so Moses changed Joshua's name from Hoshea to Yehoshua. It was Hoshea, it's now Yehoshua. He added the letter Yud, the smallest letter in the alphabet. He added the letter Yud as a prefix to his name. So change your name, change your destiny. Go ahead.
Rabbi Yitzchak said, did the scripture ever called him
Hoshea?
Hoshea? It is not written. And Moses said to Joshua, and Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man. And Joshua hurried. He responds, however.
Okay, so like there's all these examples. Did we ever see his name as Hoshea, or we only see it as Yehoshua? What do you mean he changed his name? Go ahead. The Torah is showing up as Yehoshua. Here's all the examples of it. Yes.
However, Moses told him, Yud-K will save you from them, since Joshua is spelled with the letter Yud and K in Joshua, literally will save.
So what Moses is saying is that he told him, Yud-K will save you. So he changed your name from Hoshea, will save, to Yehoshua, Yud-K will save. Now, this is not just a simple, it changes. This is not something simple. This for us is, again, an opportunity to raise our conscience, to understand that who saves us? My smart move? The good advice I got? No, it's all come from the Creator. The idea that popped in my head to do something that saved me was an idea that popped into my head that came from the Creator. The advice I got from someone else's wise counsel did not come from them. They were just the channel. Like, again, raising our conscience to understand that our guides and the Creator through our guides is constantly assisting us on this journey. So this was a reminder to who is Joshua? Joshua, like at an intrinsic level, is a connection to the Yud-K for not just saving himself in this case, but saving the entire children of Israel. He becomes their guide. He becomes their shepherd. He's helping them navigate from where? His good ideas? No, from the light of Yud-K, from the upper realm. That's where all this energy is coming from. So again, it's a reminder for us on several levels. To understand that who we keep in company is important, that when we are around negative people, we're taking on negative energy. And so we need boundaries around that negative energy. We need boundaries around those people in our lives who have desire to receive for the self, who you can explain to them, they're not going to hear it. They're so wrapped up in desire to receive for the self. They don't see the importance of desire to receive for the sake of sharing. They don't understand that everything that's coming to us in our lives is coming from the upper realm. Our job is to receive and share. That's the leader. This is about leadership. It's not just about the leaders of the tribes, it is, but for us, it's about who we are, how we show up in life. What do you mean leadership? I'm not a leader. You are a leader. You're a consciousness leader. I mean, we're on this journey. We're aligned in this way to grow our consciousness, to channel this insight into the world. And that's the power of this week. That's the power of Joshua and Caleb. It's like the things that we do. We avail ourselves of literally letters, Yud K. We avail ourselves of connecting to the Creator through prayer, through the letters, through the 72 names, through all the tools that we have, through the Anapakoach, through Shabbat, which is already infusing our physical realm right now. All these things give us the opportunity to connect, to elevate, to manifest energy of healing, energy of blessings, energy of protection, energy of safety. And on this path means we're leaders, we're consciousness leaders. You know, in the secular, in the corporate word, it's like you're thought leaders. We're thought leaders, we're consciousness leaders on this path of elevating the consciousness of the world towards avat chinam, unconditional love, and treating everyone with human decency. Okay, we're out of time. Love you all. Shabbat shalom. Thank you all for joining.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Right.
Bye-bye.